ready for another year. You ready for another year. You ready for another year.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Keep It Real Fridays. Had to open up with that good old Mission Band Gospel Go-Go. Good old bounce beat in the background. But want to welcome you to Keep It Real Fridays. We're here for episode 5 of our weekly live stream. And just thank you all for those who are joining in. Just a little bit about Keep It Real Fridays. This is something that has been going on for the past over 14 years. We're into our 15th year now with Keep It Real Fridays. I'm so excited at just the shift that we've made. We made the shift to a virtual format. Started over 14 years ago as a youth and young adult service that we have done throughout the DC metropolitan area. At least over 20 churches we've done Keep It Real Fridays at. I have since lost count, but I'm just so grateful for all the churches that have been a part of Keep It Real Fridays as hosts. Just all the artists that have been a part of Keep It Real Fridays, all the churches that have brought their young people, young adults out. And we used to come together on Friday nights and just have not your traditional youth and young adult service. So we would have mime, we would have dance, we would have gospel go-go, rap, many other genres of music, different types of creative arts. And it was just a safe space for youth and young adults to express themselves in their relationship with Christ in their own way. You know, most churches, that if you have that experience, most churches, they don't, in the past growing up, the experience was either you were in the youth choir or you were on the usher board. And so what we tried to do was provide a different type of alternative for young people. But of course, COVID, the pandemic has kind of shut that down. And so we switched to a virtual format. And so we're doing things differently with different conversations and highlighting artists and we're just excited. It's just all the different things that we've been able to do. This is our 5th episode, and we've already had some great conversations and artists that have already come through. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to go ahead and get to our first artist. And like I said, we like to highlight artists here and there, and we have a guest artist this evening that is going to be a blessing to us. So I'm going to bring her in. And I want to introduce the Facebook world. If you already don't know, I got my little sister, Najah, right? I got it right. Najah. All right. So let me first, as before I turn it over to her, she's a spoken word artist, had the opportunity. And what I like to always do is just make the connection of folk that I invite to be a part of this platform. And so I met Rayna at Evangel Assembly of God through my good friend, Reverend Keith Butler, who used to be the youth pastor there. And he asked me to host a New Year's Eve youth service. And I was like, yeah, Keith, of course, anything I can do for the kingdom. You're my boy. We Oxon Hill Clipper alumni, anything for my boy, Keith Butler, right? And so, I'm hosting this event. And then, gives me the lineup of folk, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then this poet comes up and just kills the stage, and I was just like, yes, Jesus, yes. And I was just like, that's I gotta meet her. And just awesome gift, and you just killed it that night. And I remember getting your information because I was just like, okay, I got to get her out to a Keep It Real Fridays. And we hadn't connected at that point, but then I think it was some weeks later, we connected again at the National Capital Christian Education Conference I believe that was at Wise High School, or Flowers High School. It was at Flowers High School. And then connected there through another fellow spoken word artist, Epiphany, who, you happened to be doing a workshop with her. And I was just like, yeah, so this was like confirmation that you had to be a part of Keep It Real Fridays. And you have been a blessing to Keep It Real Fridays. And I'm so grateful for you. The one thing, and I'll say, and then I'll shut up, and I want you to just let the world know who you are. And just the things God is doing in your life is When I first met her, I was just like, I could not believe how young you were. I was like, because you presented yourself so mature. And I was like, she's like, she got to be like 30 something. And you were like, you know, I asked how old you were. You were like 20 or 21. I was like, stop playing.
Yeah, like 22.
I was just like, stop playing. But just kudos to your mom, who was your manager at the time, and you know, just how she has raised you and how she has just pushed you into your gift. And shout out, she's always been a big supporter of everything that I do and just all that you do. So I'm grateful. So I want Rain to introduce herself to the world and just let the world know a little bit about yourself.
Oh, thank you, Thomas. You are so great. Also, shout out to Thomas for just holding down like the Christian youth community, like just the staple in that community with the Keep It Real Fridays. I just thank you for your consistency. It's definitely needed. And shout out to you. Like, I really appreciate all the times, like, so many of my performances came from you. Like, oh, Brother Thomas told me about you. Could you come and speak? So I just appreciate that you saw the gift that was in me, and that you decided to like continue to partner me with so many other great people. And I just appreciate that. So hey y'all, hey, Keep It Real Fridays. I joined you all about 2 years ago, and that was such a blessing. But now I'm back, and God has just been doing some amazing things in my life. I'm currently working on a project called Remember to Heal. I think that's just such a statement for this time. I've been seeing a lot of trending of just mental health or just taking care of yourself. Really seeking God and seeking His face, taking care of that like childhood trauma, and just really letting God just like have the keys to your heart and doing that heart work, that heart transformation. He's been doing a work, and I'm so excited to release that project. It's been a little while, but I'm just so excited for the things that God has been doing. And I think that scripture, "Seek ye first the kingdom," has been like my mantra like this whole week. Just in these perilous times, the first poem that I wanted to share with you all was a poem that I think aged so well. It's called "My Blackest He," and I wrote it in about like 2015, where some of the same things that were going on now as a community, we're still seeing that repeat itself. And I think I wrote it at that time of like, of let me tell you, like, stand up. I need you to know who you are. And then one day I was actually reciting the poem, and as I was reciting it, God was speaking to me, because I think whatever I speak, God is speaking to me first. Even when I think I'm giving a message to the world, God is doing something on the inside of me, to stretch me and to stir some things up in me for me to get some things. And as I was reciting it, I was like, wow, God, you were speaking to me in that moment. And so I want to encourage someone with this poem that no matter what is going on in the world, to continue to seek God's face, to continue to keep Him first in your life, and all else will be added unto you. I'm telling you, like, He is a miracle worker. He is just a good father. And yeah, I hope this blesses you. So the first poem is called "My Blackest He." It was a day just like any other day, as I ran outside with my head held high and my turban touching the sky, feeling as if Africa beat beneath my being and it liberated my scene. As God cracked open the clouds, I yelled to the skies, "I'm Black and I'm proud." So, says the man standing at the heart in his doorway, "What does your Black taste like? What does your Black sound like? What does your Black feel like? What is your Black?" And I responded proudly, "My Black sounds like a mahogany blues on a Sunday night, and it smells like roses that's been sitting under the sun all night, and it feels all right. But truthfully, my Black is sometimes treated unjust because this system has got me choked. I say I can't breathe, but still they hang the rope. Blood on the leaves is hard for us to distinguish. Strange fruit swinging until the population is finished, but I ain't finished, not to mention my black is bond. Slave plantations turn into overpopulated courtyards. And sometimes my black is lost, breaking bread with your oppressor, but he has your mind caged. He makes you think you're liberated, but really you're still enslaved. But even through all of that, still my black rises like Maya Angelou's trickling out of volcanoes. So black kings rise for you that are the Mansa Musas of Mali, the Haile Selassies of Ethiopia, the Solomons of Israel, and my black queens rise for you are the Nefertitis of Egypt, the Rosa Parks of America. See, we reign, and we have always reigned. This is our black. And the man standing at the heart in this doorway responded, baby, those are all great answers. But your black is me, because I selflessly died for you on Calvary, and my blood is the only thing that has set you free. I have strategically designed you, and my fire refined you. I am your Madam C.J. Walker, for I combed you with my love, and I have braided bravery down your spine. And when you are with me, you will always be alive. And I taste like forgiveness. And I sound like oceans upon oceans beating against your soul. And I feel like fire shut up in your bones. And when they see you, they see me. And I heard Paul Tillich say, you are pieces of a master. That's why they call you a masterpiece. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to always declare and decree that your black is absolutely, and our black is absolutely positively he. Thank you.
Rain. Now y'all know if y'all hear people doing some dope
Right.
stuff, y'all not supposed to clap. I know y'all like to clap when people do stuff. Y'all gotta snap. So definitely big snaps to you on that one. But before you go into your other piece that you're gonna do, you know, the word on the street is you are engaged. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. No, I only say that because you know, because you know, your soon to be is a creative too.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this quick question in regards to that, not just to put you on blast, but how do you, you know, when you see creativity in God, because you connected with somebody that's also a creative, like how do you see God moving in creativity? Not just in, I mean, it could be in your life, the two of you all's life, like, and how God is birthing your ministry in the world. And I know I didn't prep you for that question, but
right. It's okay.
But it just came to me as you shared that piece, because I see that connection of creativity, and just can you just speak to that real quick before you go into your next piece?
Yeah, I just think for me, I always in any relationship appreciate purpose. And if there was no purpose, then there needed to be no relationship. So, especially when we're talking about marriage, when we're talking about kingdom work, for me, I wanted to be able to wake up in the morning and know that God designed this person for me, that they balance me out, and that we have a purpose. You know, days get hard sometimes, you know, and to stand on God's word, to have someone that seeks God's face and loves God allows me to trust first before the creativity, trust that he will seek God for me. And that if anything is going wrong or could go wrong, that God is going to speak to him because he submits to God first. And I think the creativity just was added to it. Like, I think we birthed a friendship through creativity. We actually met at Evangel. So many things happened at Evangel. So we connected as friends for years through the birth of creativity, and we were just able to see God in our ministries, and even see us transform, you know, like just transforming our work, and see where God has brought us from. And even in times where we thought we were all together or had it right, and we just like so grateful that like God was keeping us through it all. And we're just so humble. And so now where we saw as God brought a friendship together and creativity and even in relationships, I mean, so many of our friends and our family just glean on our relationship. I said, remember to heal has been such a statement in my life because I got to go to counseling. He started counseling, and then we both did premarital counseling together. And some people could be like, whoa, that's a lot of counseling. But we wanted to prepare. You know, preparation is important. So that foundation, it has to be great. And so I would encourage everyone to make sure that you have a purpose partner, and also make sure that in a relationship that you all heal. Because that's going to be important. That's going to help so many things: communication, understanding, love, so many things. Remembering to heal.
Yeah, and again, I know I put you on the spot with that, but I think it was important for those who are watching to hear that, and I'm thank you for sharing that. But I'm gonna let you go into your next. Thank you for obliging me.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I think this next home transitions well. It's called cavities. I think it's a reminder to heal. I think it's a reminder that sometimes that our voids in life will lead us astray. They will lead us. It could start off as an issue with a parent. It could lead to alcoholism. It could lead to then it's like one door opening could lead to so many other things. And that's why that's definitely like been something that I stand on. But this piece just says like through it all, through it all, one, heal, but two, like don't allow that to turn you away from God, because through your brokenness and through your pain, God is standing there saying, I love you and I want you with all of that. I want you with all of that. You don't need to go get it right and then come to me. Just as you are, I'm here with open arms, and I choose you this day. And so this poem is called Cavities. And as always, I pray that God decreases in me as I increase in him. I remember the first time I went to the dentist. 5 years old, and all I could think about was the stickers. But this time was different. I had holes in my teeth that I couldn't explain in the pain. The pain felt like a check written out to my name, like I had to hurry up and cash it just so it could be tamed. I felt so ashamed. But up ahead, open signs flash in crimson red. This must be how Moses felt, standing at the center between right choices and wrong decisions, and I need help. My legs feel number than Novocaine. My hands are still as I go to grab that steel door, and it's heavier than brick, mortar, and sand. Sand. This house was foolishly built on sand, and it's sinking as I'm sitting waiting for the dentist. See, I was a patient, but nothing about me was patient. And I was so tired of waiting in that waiting room filled of hurt and freedom, but no emancipation proclamation could settle this feeling, because today I had cavities and I have come to get them filled in. And I would love to tell you that these cavities came from drinking plenty of water and eating fruits and veggies. But to be honest, when I was sitting in front of a plate full of sin called life, God called me out of it, and I told him I wasn't ready. I told him, let me take one more bite, one more drink for one more night. But those one mores left me with a life full of strife, because I had a simple appetite. I found myself dining on drug use, drinking on discord, appetizing with idolatry, but yet I wanted more, so I lunched with lust just to fill my void. My life started to go into a spin, but somehow I still thought I would win, because the worst thing about sin is that it's sweet at first, but it's bitter in the end. So my friend, listen up, because this message is urgent. We let the parasites inside of us control our urges. So we rather bite on an apple filled with strife than no taste and see that the Lord is good and buffet on his bread of life. But the day that I gave him my life was the day that I could proclaim that I have a river of life flowing out of me, and it makes the lame to walk, the blind to see. I was lost, but now I'm free. Once had cavities, but he filled me with his porcelain peace. So if you were like me and they told you that an apple a day keeps the dentist away, respond and say, isn't that how we fell from grace in the first place? Indulging on things that wasn't made for us to indulge in the first place. I know sometimes we feel so broken, so used and dismayed, but remember that our Father is mighty to save, because even when a cavity is too decayed to be filled, they still find fit to put a crown on it. And he saw fit to put a crown on him, because before the world began, he saw your name, and your sins and your brokenness was the ones that he wanted to claim. So there's no need for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, because our Father already paid the bill. He was nailed to a cross, punctured with a spear, and by his stripes we are already healed. So I guess that means that our cavities are already filled. Thank you.
Rain.
God is good.
Appreciate you. If I like what Rain, drop some comments in the chat. I know Chrissy Belton was just I don't know if she's still in there, but if you need a poet, Chrissy, holla at Rain Najah. Holla at her if you need for your youth and young adult events at Wood Memorial. But anybody that's looking for a spoken word artist, holla at Rain. Awesome woman of God, as you can already see just through the conversation that we've had. How can people follow you or sow into your life? You know, as far as Cash App, if they want to sow into your life, if they just want to drop gifts your way, or just follow you on social media to get contact with what God is doing.
Yeah, so if you all would love, and I would love for you to follow me, and I would love to get to know you all and the things that God is doing in your life. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, it is at I am Rayna. I think that Thomas has put it below. And then on Facebook, it's just Rayna. And if you would like to bless and sow into my ministry, it is $Amber AMBER D as a David I 1313. That's $AMBER DI 113. So thank you so much, Thomas. I always appreciate you. This has been such a blessing, and I hope that that someone was encouraged tonight.
Definitely. Monique, come on, she said, you're absolutely incredible.
Thank you, Monique. You have such a beautiful spirit. Thank you so much.
No problem. God bless you. You will be in touch soon, and hopefully even maybe bring you back on a future episode. So thank you.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you. Or Jay, you gotta bring Jay. You could talk, you could get to hear his side.
There we go. So let's bring both of you back. So let's look at the calendar and let y'all go. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you, Thomas. God bless.
Bless you. All right. So we just heard from Rain, and she just blessed us. We thank God for her gift of spoken word and just all that she shared, which she dropped some nuggets that I think is a blessing for all of us to hear. So without further ado, before I bring other special guests, I just want to do a quick commercial. Again, follow us on social media, KIR Fridays for Keep It Real Fridays on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Also, just that you know, the way that you can kind of sow into this movement and what God is doing in my life is you can go to my other site, which is nnym.org/Thomas Brackeen, where I'm now the East Central Region coordinator of the National Network of Youth Ministries, which really just means, it's a really fancy title of meaning that I have the opportunity to mentor and coach youth leaders across 6 to 7 states in this East Central region. And so just if you feel led to just sow into the life of what I'm doing, to be able to sow into these youth leaders and also continue what we're doing with Keep It Real Fridays, you can sow a seed there through National Network of Youth Ministries.org, nnym.org/Thomas Brackeen. So we're going to have a very different discussion this evening, which is a very important discussion. And I want to bring in my good friend and my good sister. So let me bring her into the stream. my good friend, my sis, my homie, my good
Yes.
friend, Monique Johnson. Yes. Um, so before I just turn it loose, I gotta just say this is my homie, y'all. This is my friend. This is my sis. Uh, man, it's a long story. But I am grateful that God has connected us. God connected us back in 2009, or a little bit before, maybe around that time. So God connected us through this Urban Youth Workers Program, the Bully, and was just an awesome blessing. They came to the area, got the word out that they were doing an urban youth worker training throughout the country, and that they had, I believe it was 5 or 6 different cities at the time, and we were part of the first Washington D.C. cohort. And understand that there was a couple hundred youth leaders and pastors that applied to be a part of this cohort, and we were one of 10 that was selected. I went into it just kind of not really expecting anything, but God saw it fit that I would be a part and to meet Monique, and we were able to meet some awesome brothers and sisters, Bobby Mathau, Peyton Gray, Billy Staten, Tony Bledsoe, Christina Fowler, Ade, Jesse Webb. I feel like I'm missing somebody, Kerry James, just a bunch of awesome people. I think I got the whole crew. Mike, but met a whole bunch of awesome people. I know they're gonna be like, you ain't shut up my name. But just a whole group of awesome people, and of course meeting Monique, and we instantly connected as brother and sis and have remained close. And God has just been doing amazing things in your life. And then we've had the opportunity to, through Bobby Mathau, to be able to teach at the National Capital Christian Education Conference, which I mentioned, where, I connected with Rayna as well. And we were able, through that opportunity, to tag team teach for several years. And, we were killing it. Like the anointing was, no, I ain't gonna say we were, somebody say we all too righteous. No, but it was just so fun teaching with you because it was just so easy because of the friendship and the connection that God had brought. And then you just moved to Charlotte and left me.
I know.
But I'm so grateful that God has kept us connected. But I just want you to tell the world a little bit about yourself. And I've talked enough about you, but let us know about Monique.
So I'm just a bond servant for Jesus, to be perfectly honest. I moved to Charlotte specifically because in 2015 I lost my mom. And I think you go through this time in your life where you really are surveying, you're saying, am I going to work and living life just because, oh, this is just something to do to collect a paycheck? And then there are times that you're like, well, what was I created for? What is my purpose? And I made the choice back then that I was not going to live another day just living life just based off of, okay, I'm just going to collect a check. But I wanted to go to bed knowing that I had planted a seed and try to make a difference. And I want to wake up knowing that I'm going to go out and make a difference. And so I felt like for me, God had started my journey really in 2009. Yeah, 2009. And so there was just so much that God was doing in my life. And for me, it was easy. It was scary, but it was easy for me to say, you know what? I'm going to leave what's familiar, which was the DMV area. And I'm going to go and make an impact in an area that is oftentimes overlooked. And so I moved to Charlotte specifically to work in anti-human trafficking.
Awesome. So I want you to tell us, first I want to start because, and for those of you who don't know, the topic for today is shining a light on human trafficking. so people will know what the conversation we're about to have. For those of us who are not familiar, we may have some surface knowledge, but I want you to tell us, what is human trafficking? What, the awareness that we need to have around it, and a little bit beyond the surface knowledge of what we may think it is.
Okay, so with human trafficking, you're looking at someone who uses force, fraud, or coercion in order to cause somebody to fall into sex trafficking, labor trafficking, or any form of trafficking. There's so many different types of trafficking, but it's the use of force, fraud, and coercion. And so a person can use any of those three things. And if they are controlling another person and causing them to do some form of act, it's a form of trafficking. Hope that makes sense. So with it, they said, I believe it was back in 2017, there were at least 25 different types of trafficking. You have labor trafficking, you have sex trafficking, you have domestic servitude. Those are three of like the most common ones that are out there. And with those, it can be different. So of course, sex trafficking, that's any form of commercial sex trafficking, where you are exchanging some form of sexual favor for money. And the money that you have is not necessarily going to you, it's going to someone else. Labor trafficking, there's a wide range with that, from people who are being paid below what they should be paid in order to live there, to be fed or whatever, or even if they're working for an organization or working for a family and they're holding all their documents and they're saying, well, basically your working is just so that you can live here and you're barely making any form of money to even survive. Then you have like domestic servitude, that sometimes could be those jobs like nannies or housekeeping, that you might do for a specific family. And sometimes it could be someone who is from another country. It could be right here and someone who lives here in the United States. I think oftentimes the misconception is that human trafficking is an issue that's taking place over there. It's across the water. It's in another country, but it's happening right here in our backyards. And it's not just in rural areas. Sometimes it's in plain sight. It's your neighbor. It's oftentimes it kind of can blow your mind. And I think once you understand it fully, you can't close your eyes to it. You can't ignore the issue because it's so prevalent. I often think back on, I was living here. I had just moved here in 2017 when they began to talk about the 400 girls who were missing in DC. And they were talking about, all of a sudden it was like, oh, all of a sudden there's these girls who are popping up missing. And it wasn't a thing that it had just started. It'd been going on for a long time. Mm. And so human trafficking is so common, but because there are so many people who are involved, because it's not, it doesn't make you feel good. It's something, it's distorted. It can cause you to be like, I would choose not to, let me just focus on another issue, because that is just too much for me to comprehend and process, or even think that it's happening to people that I know. But then once you find out and you see what the face of a survivor looks like, a survivor's face could look like mine. And we can often think that it can't be you. No, it's someone else. No, I could be a survivor. So that's just kind of a quick overview of what kind of human trafficking is.
No, that's good. And, that was actually the first time I've actually heard of the term domestic servitude. That was it. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you elaborated on that. Let me ask you this, because I know a little bit about your journey. And, part of the time, way back when we met, you were in youth ministry. And you were serving in youth ministry, and you were had your own drama ministry and Beyond the Mask. Um, and awesome drama ministry, just really just powerful, really pouring into the lives of young people and allowing youth and young adults to really express themselves through drama. But God has led you to a fresh start. Talk to us a little bit about that journey and how, what is a fresh start, you know, as it pertains to even the subject matter that we're talking about.
So in 2009, God was preparing me. Although I had done I believe I started Beyond the Mask in 2009. And we were seeing God open doors, and we were bringing awareness on various issues that we didn't want dramas that made you feel good when it was over. It was like, oh, that felt good. We wanted to remove the mask and make you say, ouch. We wanted you to see those areas in your life that you were like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was there. In doing that, my mom took me to see the movie Taken. And what's interesting is many people saw the movie Taken, and I have many survivors that when we even bring up the movie Taken, it's like, it's so annoying, because for them, they always say, we didn't have a Liam Neeson dad who came and rescued us. And I remember when I first saw that movie, I told my mom right then, I was like, I want to be Liam Neeson. That is what I want to do. I want to go up in there. I want to bust through doors. I want to rescue girls. And she was like, no. And as time went on, at that time, it was still something that we were hearing about overseas. And so as the years went on, I was like, okay, well, Beyond the Mask, we're going to participate in events that talk about the issue also. And so then we would do dramas for that. And then as the years went on, I really believe it was around 2015, because I kept talking about it. I would study it and, look at it. But it was really in 2015 that I made that choice that, no, this is really what my heart is. That's my heart's desire, I've been helping teen girls for so long, for years, and teen girls and guys. But I realized that there was a group that they didn't have that youth pastor or that youth leader that was necessarily there for them. And I didn't want them to feel forgotten. And so I made the choice without talking to my family or anything. I said, okay, I'm going to move to Charlotte. And so I decided to intern with a nonprofit down here. And I actually, as crazy as it sounds, my heart was so for the issue that for 9 months, I didn't collect a salary nor get paid. Wow. But I interned and served at another organization because of my heart for it. And in doing that, I got to see all sides of trafficking. At the same time, I went back to school. Vanguard University actually has a certification program where you truly dive deep into the issue of human trafficking. And so here I was, learning the textbook of what it was. I had done a lot of training while working in the federal government in the area. And then as time moved on, it was about toward the end of 2017, I started I was a program director for an anti-trafficking organization. And I saw the rawness of trafficking. And I heard the stories from the survivors and the things that my textbooks taught me that they were like, no, this is what's really going on. But it was really 2018 when I first but went to the hospital to actually see a survivor and go through that process. Normally the survivors I would see had already been rescued, but to see a survivor completely in the most shameful place that she felt and walking through that journey with her, it was several months later that I had a dream. I literally had an actual dream, and God showed me a fresh start. And he showed me in the dream, literally the whole organization as a whole. And I was like, okay, Lord, well, that is awesome. And so I called one of my friends who was also in this dream with me. And I said, okay, I got to tell you this story that I had of this. God gave me this dream, and this is what happened. And so we spent a year really preparing for it. And so what he showed me was a fresh start would be an organization that helps both the survivor and their children. Oftentimes, we have a lot of programs that help the survivor, but the children are often affected at the same time. They go through secondhand trauma. They go through whether it's something that they're seeing firsthand, or sometimes they are experiencing the same thing that their parents are experiencing. And so instead of just focusing on helping the survivor heal, it's important for us that we help both the survivor and their children to heal together, grow together, thrive together. And so that's really what birthed A Fresh Start.
Thanks for sharing, Monique. You said something a few moments ago that I want to kind of bring back into the next question. Because often we think about this as an issue that just affects our young girls, but you also mentioned that this also affects our young boys. So I want to ask you the question for those parents, for those youth leaders, youth pastors, mentors out there that are watching this or listening. How do we fight this issue? How do we, what are the type of conversations do we have with our young people? Because this is not, if I can be transparent, but not in a very negative way, because I'm not trying to be negative, but this is not a conversation that we have in church. And this is not something that the normal youth pastor or youth leader is or parent or mentor is prepared to have a conversation about. And I want to, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you. How do we prepare ourselves? Because we don't want to see our children become a victim of this.
So in a day and age where, so back in our day, right? Our parents were in our stuff. Like constantly in our stuff. They were constantly aware and hip to whatever we were doing. What I have found is you have so many parents who have said, I don't feel like getting involved in that new app. Whether it's, we get Facebook 50 years later, they've already moved on to Instagram. We get Instagram, they've already moved to it, and it's constantly moving, right? But you have so many parents who are unaware of various apps that are out there that their children are being targeted through. They allow them to talk to anyone online. We have become so focused on connecting digitally that they don't always understand who's necessarily talking to their children. And while it might appear to be someone who's the exact same age, they're not. Sometimes there are actual predators who are specifically seeking out their children. And so, or you have peers, they're actual peers who are in the life, who are going to school with them. And because they are in the life, and they don't want to necessarily do it anymore, or they don't want to do it by themselves anymore, they get connected with other peers and bring them into it. Oftentimes, I always tell parents, if you could have a relationship with your child that they can tell you anything and you would not love them anymore, disown them, lay them out or cuss them out in such a way that they don't feel comfortable talking to you. So many parents, their kids can't even talk to them. They can't have a relationship with them. I've heard of survivors who, it was one of those things that it was like, even their youth pastor, knowing they were a church kid, but your youth pastor, if they knew you did this, do you want me to show him or show them your pictures that you took? Do you want me to? And it creates this form of blackmail that causes them to close up, not talk. Remember, it's force, fraud, or coercion. So what could I use to keep your mouth shut? What can I use to keep you from talking to me? My mom used to always have these things called honesty moments. We would have them pretty much when she wanted to, but at least once a month, where I could tell her anything and not get in trouble. I could tell her anything. And when I told her, I was amazed by my mom, because she'd be like, okay. Now she didn't tell me till later on that she would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. But she would keep this face of, okay, some of you parents need to learn, and you pastors need to learn how to do the blank face. There were so many in my youth who were able to talk to me because they were like, Monique, as expressive as I am with my face, they were like, I could tell you stuff because you just act normal. Now on my inside, I'm losing it. But if you are quiet enough and can control your face, you will hear things that will give you prayer points. You will hear things that will cause you to know really what's going on. It will cause you to be the house that the kids could come to. Because if you're always telling them to leave and go somewhere else, or they're constantly having the opportunity to be at someone else's house, you can't control what's happening at the other person's house. And where we would have thought of drugs and alcohol and things like that, there are other things that are taking place that our children are being victimized. And oftentimes I feel like, especially sometimes in our community, it's a thing that's kept hush hush.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, please. Interrupt me anytime.
No, you're fine. One of our viewers, Tamika, asked a question, and I think it's kind of in line with what you're saying. What are some of the warning signs that we should be looking out for?
So if you see a quick change in your child or in a youth, meaning they go from being, let's say she's a girly girl, might wear things more fitted, but not necessarily like clingy and totally showing things. And then all of a sudden she switches and she's wearing baggy clothes and she's more covered up, or you see tattoos that start to appear that are as though they are someone's property, meaning it's someone else's name. I'm not talking about they didn't have their grandmama name tattooed or something like that. But like you start seeing so-and-so's girl, or you see there are ways that people who are pimping our youth will cause them to, it's a way of saying they're mine. So they may do different things as far as, so you might have a group that they may wear a certain necklace or a certain chain, or there's something to that extent. Or it could be just their attitude change. They become very, let's say they were a kid that was very huggy and touchy-feely with their parents in a loving way. And now it's they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be touched. They're constantly in their room. They want to be, everything is private. You can't have my phone. Like and when I say have my phone, when we look at our phones and we see the fact that, and I'll tell people to go on my Instagram page, because on my Fresh Starts Instagram page, because I actually did several apps. I think I did it for like a full week of all these different apps that the youth use and how they can be used within trafficking. So I would encourage you to go on there and look at that as well. But there are things that they are hiding that we don't oftentimes know about. And you should know. You should know every password that they have. You should know how to get onto their phones. You should know how to get into any of their email accounts. You should be in their business. Gone should be the days of, oh, well, that's their privacy. There is no privacy. You don't have no bills. You know what I mean? That parents need to get involved. And so it's sometimes it's an outer change. Sometimes it's the fact that that child who was very talkative has become very quiet. Their grades are starting to slip. You're finding out, okay, they're not going to school. They're always sick. There's behavioral changes those should be like the main triggers that you should see, that you could start to say, okay, something's off. But you have to create a space that they are comfortable to talk about it. Because even if all of those things are happening, if you have not shown yourself to be someone that is trustworthy in information that they give, then they're not going to be comfortable to come and talk to you. If they think that you're going to quickly go to the person, or they should know that they can talk to you. And as youth pastors, there's a fine line, you know what I mean, of knowing, okay, well, I have to report this. There is definitely a fine line. But this whole keeping secrets in order to protect people, we have to stop that, because we're allowing our children to be exploited. And one thing I wanted to say, just in last year alone, there were 15,222 females that were caught in trafficking, 3,003 males. So when we're looking at it, it's not just, as I said earlier, females who are being trafficked, but there are men who are being trafficked as well. And oftentimes we want to be like, what? Like, that just can't happen. No, it can happen. Oftentimes they can be exploited based off of their sexual preference. And if for some reason they are a male and they are identifying as a homosexual, or they say, hey, I'm struggling in this and whatever, but I can't tell anybody, someone can then exploit them sometimes. At the same time, they could find themselves in need of something. There are so many youth also, as youth pastors, that we should know. There are so many youth who are aging out of the system and have nowhere to go. So you have kids who are aging out of the system, who are finding themselves homeless, who find themselves in survival trafficking. Like, they're trying to survive and they find themselves in trafficking because they don't want to be homeless. Or the youth who haven't aged out and they don't want to be homeless. They can't go home. They don't have a home. And they find themselves in these situations. So hopefully that helps her.
No, that was good. Good segue into my next question. You talked about, some of the signs is noticing some of the changes in behavior, or even, we set up that atmosphere where it's conducive for them to open up. What do we do next as that adult, as that individual? We want to, because naturally we want to fix the issue, and we want to make sure that we take the proper steps of making sure that they're protected. We want to make sure we're taking the proper steps, that their confidentiality, all of that. What do we do next?
Some of them, they're going to need counseling. No question about it. There's counseling that is going to be needed. And there are definitely places that are out there that are specific to helping if there's been some form of sexual victimization, if they have found themselves in an addiction sense, because they're going to be oftentimes, and I want to say this in moving on before I answer that, some of them can get caught in it based off of a drug. So, for example, they did some drugs with their friends. They went out, did some drugs with their friends. They had something extra that was in there, or they didn't, and they tried something that they had never tried before. In doing so, it caused them to now be addicted to this drug. In order to get that, how do I get it? How do I keep getting it? Well, I'll have to do things. I have to perform in order to get those drugs. And that could be the link to that. So first, I would always say is you need to get them counseling. But the other thing that you need to report it. So I always want to tell people this. The number for tips, the tip line is 888-373-7888. Okay? That's 888, and I'll put it in the chat for you, Thomas. Sorry. 888-373-7888. Or you can text Be Free to 233-733. You can text Be Free to 233-733. They have over 200 languages. It's available 24/7. But you want to give a tip. It is not it's not for you to be Liam Neeson. So for you to go busting in there to try to save it, because you don't necessarily know what you're necessarily getting into. Providing a tip, they have to follow up with all the tips that are given. So it's important that if you give a tip, hey, I've noticed something, even if you see something taking place and something's just not right, if you give a tip on the tip line, they'll still follow through and follow up with it. So they're going to need some form of counseling automatically. And then depending on where it took place, there will have to be some form of removal. You'll have to make some shifts and some changes. So if it took place at school, you may have to go through the process of changing their school, or just going up to the school and saying, I want to meet with the principal and saying, hey, this student did such and such, could potentially not provide a safe environment necessarily for your child. So there are ways in which you can give tips, give information without per se bringing your child's name or that student's name into the picture.
And you said the number to text again was?
Be free. So you text the word be free to 233-733.
Okay. I'm going to put this up so people can be able to see. So as I'm getting ready to put that up so people can see that, talk about, and we kind of talked about this before we went live. Can you talk about, because I know you're working in the Charlotte area, but this is an issue in DC that we don't talk about enough, and it's just going on all across our country in different areas. Can you kind of speak to some of the statistics, whether it's DC or, just whatever?
So I specifically pulled those numbers based off of, so all of our numbers are always going to be for the previous year. So what came for that full year? So Virginia ranked number 16 in the nation. There were 555 contacts. So there were 555 tips that came through, but only 189 were actually reported. Maryland was ranked number 17 in the nation. They had 533 contacts that were made, and 187 were actually reported.
Wow. And
then DC was ranked number 35 in the nation with, they had 179 contacts with 75 that had been reported. What's so crazy to me, okay, because DC is small. So out of 50 states, the fact that DC would still be number 35 is still surprising, that the DMV, Maryland and Virginia are within the top 20 in the nation. So because of, you always have to look at points of entry. If people can get north to south, they can easily drive through airports, you're next to the water, it's easy to transport people. It's very easy. I remember, I believe it was in 2017 or 2018, I got to talk to some employees at American Airlines to really help them understand how to even see survivors that may come up to the checkout desk to get a ticket. You know what I mean? Looking at the fact that, okay, maybe she's dressed like she's going to Florida, but she's about to go to Alaska, or she's going to a place that she's not per se dressed for. There were lots of different signs that in talking to them and giving them this flyer that helped them to have a little quick reference guide of, I didn't think about that. This is a way to see. If she goes up to the desk and says, hey, or he goes up to the desk and says, I have a ticket waiting for me, but they have no luggage. They're not checking anything in, and they're going one way. And they ask them, well, where are you going? I just have a ticket waiting for me. They don't really have the information of where they're going. People have to understand also that in the trafficking world is ever changing. So because it's ever changing, the game is constantly changing. So your tactics are constantly having to change. And so with how we are right now within the United States and how much it is $150 billion industry. If there's no demand, there is no supply. The demand is there, and so they are supplying based off of the demand that is there. And so it's so twisted, because oftentimes they say, well, what's a look? What's the look like? What is is it a girl who's blonde, or is it a black girl who has this certain hairstyle? Like, what are they looking for? There's a supply, there's a demand. So the demand is changing. And there's different ways in which people are looking for things. Some people, it is often said that trafficking, it can happen at any age. So you have people, because of the twisted mindset, who are trafficking babies, who are trafficking little girls and little boys. And then you have some that are primarily looking at 12-year-olds. When you look at other countries and their sense of what is okay and what is considered a consensual age, it differentiates. Even here in the United States, I'll never forget, I was watching Designated Survivor. And on Designated Survivor, they were talking about child brides. And this was, I think the episode I was watching was for 2017. Ooh, sorry. My watch started talking. 2017, he was talking about the fact of, I can't believe this is happening overseas. And they were like, no, it's happening right here in the United States. And looking at how many states say that it is okay for a 15-year-old to be married is crazy. A 15-year-old. Like, that there are certain ages that it's okay for them to be married. And it's not. And so to someone who is 40 or whatever, so in the United States, because it is happening here in Charlotte, we are constantly, our numbers are constantly changing. You have to understand, even the numbers with which I provided you, those are the calls that were made. There are so many calls that are not made. Right. So when we look at back in 2017, when they brought up the 400 girls that were missing, and we're looking at all of the, you're constantly, somebody's gone or they ran away, and they want to just constantly blame it on a runaway, when it's not always a runaway situation. Sometimes it is, but sometimes we think that oftentimes survivors did not know the person with which who trafficked them, and that's not true. You have, and I have seen it, you have family members who traffic family members. You have gang members who are involved in trafficking, because you can sell a drug one time, but you can sell a body multiple times. You have parents, still family, that are trafficking. You have people who are like, well, that was my boyfriend and I did him a favor, and that favor turned into another favor, and before you know it, we've seen, as hard as it is, where we've heard that it's happened before in the church. I believe it was, because I was here and somebody was like, Monique, it happened here in Maryland. Like, it's happening right around us. And unless we are aware, unless we are involved, unless we are looking and saying, not in my city, like the stand that we take for so many other things, taking a stand and saying, no, we're not going to allow another boy or another girl to be victimized under my watch. No, I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to do something about it.
Thanks for expanding on that. We got Mama Val, who's a youth pastor herself, says she's in Ohio and they are ranked in the top 10. It's sad. We gotta protect our babies. We gotta protect our kids. And you kind of elaborated a while earlier, as far as, we can't just let them get lost in technology, and just let them, a lot of times we just you know, adults, not just parents, but we say, you know, we stick them in front of a laptop, stick them in front of an iPad, or, you know, the new iPhone, whatever it is, and we just, hey, you know, I got stuff I got to do, or I'm tired, or I need a break, and you know, it's just so much stuff going on behind technology that we don't even know about, and conversations.
Even when they were doing kids YouTube, and all of a sudden, like the commercial comes on, and you think because it's kids YouTube, it's different and it's okay. Like that's fine. I mean, it's harmless. I want to say this real quick. One of my board members, I just have so much respect for him. His name is Jason. He is the most current guy I know. Like, he always knows what the new thing is with the youth. He always knows whatever the new dance is. He knows the new technology. There are things that by the time I'm like, oh, did you hear about this? And he's like, yeah, that's been out for a while. You know what I mean? And it's as much as even in me being involved in this area, there's so much that I still need to learn. And so in what I think is so neat, because of him constantly being current, it makes him available to be connected to so many youth who have questions or those who want to be involved, because it's like, oh, well, you know, oh, you're cool. Oh, okay, I can't sneak nothing over on you. But if we choose to be like, I honestly don't feel like, if you're still stuck in the MySpace days or the days of like Black Planet, you know what I mean? Like, if you just like, I just can't move on, guess what? Society has moved on, and you are really behind. And if all you have right now is Facebook, you're in trouble. If that's all you know how to do, or you still struggling on how to navigate that, there's a problem. You have to stay current.
Yeah. So thank you for those who are tuning in. For those who may have jumped in late, you know, welcome to Keep It Real Fridays. We're talking about shining a light on human trafficking. Our guest is my good friend and sis, Monique Johnson, out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And we've just been talking about just the importance of protecting our babies, and just the importance of making sure that we're looking out for some of these signs, and, you know, because it's happening right in our backyard. As we start to wrap up this conversation, I want to ask you this. How has this transformed your life personally? Like you did, is it for personal work, personal ministry, however you want to respond? How has this transformed your life?
I never forget, I would leave work when I was running this one program, and I remember calling my dad, and I was just like, sometimes when you don't understand the twistedness of people, and you want to give people the benefit of the doubt to know that people would never do that, you know, and you hear the stories that some of these survivors tell you that are so horrific. It can't help but change you. What I have found, because there is always this balance of, they always talk about self-care, especially in this, and making sure that in us, in the things that we see and the things that change our mindset forever, or moments where it affects us, you can go one of two ways. Either you can shut down and choose to be ignorant and allow the world around you to be destroyed, or you can get in the dirt and get low with them and make the choice to make a difference. I always think of in John 8, when the woman was caught in the act of adultery, and they brought her to Jesus, and instead of him sitting there and accusing her like them, he got low. He got down in the ground with her in a place that she was familiar with, but he was pure and different. But yet he came to the place where she was. He met her at that place. And there's so many survivors who I want to meet them where they are, but I want to take them to a place they've never been. And I want them to know that the title and the words and the experiences they have had that have been have caused them to be labeled, that doesn't have to be the final say so. That they can have freedom, they can thrive, they can live not as just that title of survivor, because I think sometimes the word survivor just keeps you stagnant. It keeps you in a reminding place of what you went through. But I want them to be at a place of thriving, where they see themselves truly as, kind of like our logo, they are coming out of this cocoon and they have become this beautiful butterfly, because in the midst of the cocoon, there's so much that takes place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't ever say that I'll ever be the same because of all the things that I've seen and I've heard. And honestly, there are stories that I hear that I never can say I'm never surprised, because sometimes I still think I give people just a little bit of benefit of the doubt, and then I'm blown away all over again. But it helps me to know what more I can do, what more I can do to help and to bring about transformation and bring awareness, so that people can't just say they don't know. You will, if you know me, you're going to know about human trafficking. You won't be able to say that you don't know. You can choose to be ignorant to it, but you will not be able to say that I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know that was an issue. No, you won't be able to say that. And to be able to look into a survivor's eyes and be like, no, you weren't worth it. That's horrible. Every one of them is worth it, despite what they went through, despite what got them into that place. So my life has been forever changed. And I would say that I really believe it was what I was designed for. Like when God was knitting me in my mother's womb, that he was thinking about me now. And the fact that 2009, he planted the seed, and to see that it was being cultivated in the midst of me serving other anti-trafficking nonprofits, that he would birth what he placed inside of me. And that nothing that I've been through was wasted. Nothing that any of you all go through. That is not one thing. It's something I tell survivors, but it's something that I want all of your viewers to know. There is nothing in your life that will be wasted. He will use it all of it. Those moments that you thought he can't use that. Like, how is he going to use that? He will use it all of it. And I am seeing that right now in my life.
You better preach, Monique. Nah, serious. Oh man, that is wow. Before I let you go, I need to, because I want to make sure people know how they can support. And you posted a link the other day about I don't know if it's a contest or a grant.
Oh, Black Philanthropy Month. And so right now there's an organization called ShareCharlotte.org, or Share Charlotte, but their website is ShareCharlotte.org. And I'll put that in here for you. And on there, at the very top of their page, I hope I said that right. At the very top of their page, there is this link. There's a contest that's going until August 31st. And when you click it, it's different organizations that are Black led. And I believe we're the third one down. And so you can vote, and based on those votes, whoever has the most votes will receive a $5,000 grant. And so a fresh start, it will be so beneficial and helpful to us, so that we can continue to help the survivors and their children to grow together, thrive together, and heal together. So
for those who are watching, for those who will watch later on, go to ShareCharlotte.org, support a fresh start, to be able to have this opportunity to do this great work. And obviously, the finances are needed, the funds are needed to be able to do this great work. If they want to not just go to the website and vote for, what are other ways we can support your organization?
So we are on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. but we have a lot of opportunities coming up. So if you go on our website, a fresh start CLT.com, but also on Share Charlotte, what's unique about Share Charlotte is you can find us also through there. So when you go on there, you can find out volunteer opportunities that we have, as well as through our website. Volunteer opportunities that we have are Amazon wish list, through Amazon Smile. You can also, you can donate through our Facebook, through our Facebook page, I believe. You can donate through our website. There's so many donate buttons on our website that you can definitely donate on there. And then you can also donate through Cash App, through a Fresh Start CLT.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to be making a donation.
Connect with us on social media, because if you connect with us, you're on there. We're constantly weekly showing you just new things that you should know about trafficking. It's helping you to stay aware. So it's giving you information. Even if you go through our old posts and look through, it gives you statistics, it gives you definitions, lets you know really what's going on right now. And so that's another way to stay aware of what's going on. If you don't have time to kind of do anything else, I know you're on social media, so you can scroll through, especially on Tuesdays. Tuesdays we post for our Anti-Trafficking Tuesday. And so that's definitely a way to connect with us.
Awesome.
Y'all,
y'all definitely support my good friend, my sister, Monique Johnson. This has been a great dialogue, great conversation. And I'm so, it tears my heart that you're so many states away. But we thank God that, through this virtual platform, we're able to connect and have this conversation. I want you all to definitely, be a blessing to a fresh start and find ways that you can support, or even get connected to organizations in the DC area that are doing the same work.
DC, Baltimore area, there are different organizations there. And if you go, I believe on the Polaris Project, or look up Polaris Project online, you can find some organizations that are in your area. Or if you go to, probably going through the Polaris Project, but if oftentimes the anti-human or the human trafficking hotline as well, that will allow you, in looking at that online, to find out some opportunities that you may have in your area, or ways in which you can support and so forth. But definitely, if you ever need a fresh start, we're definitely there as well to help bring about awareness and spread the word. So all of our information is down there on the bottom. I see it scrolling. Our website, freshstartclt.com. And I'm so glad. I appreciate this time, Thomas, and you allowing me to come on and even just share with your viewers about just this horrific issue that's taking place right here in our backyard.
Definitely. Thank you. Before we close out, I just want to invite, our next episode will be next Friday. It will not be at 7:00. It will be at 8:00 next week, because we have a very special guest from the West Coast that's going to be on. I have my good friend, kind of a mentor, just great person in ministry, Tommy Nixon, who is the CEO of Urban Youth Workers Institute. Another great organization that I have the opportunity to be affiliated with. So we're going to do that next week at 8:00 and not 7:00, because we're going to bring in my good friend from the West Coast, from Cali. He's going to join us on Keep It Real Fridays. And also, hopefully, I think we'll have another guest artist next week too. But for those of you who did not get an opportunity to hear this entire conversation, you'll be able to check out this conversation on the website, keepitrealfridays.com. And this video will be posted there tomorrow. And also you can check it out on our social media feed, KIR Fridays. on Facebook, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at KIR Fridays. Before we close out, I just want to, Monique, if you have anything that you want to say to close out, anything important that we should know, or anything.
Just to really understand just the issue that's there, and that you have the power to bring about change, to bring change in this area. There are organizations you don't have to support. There's things that we can do. Oftentimes we think it's out of our hands and that there's nothing that we can do. But if each one of us are impacting a life, we're changing futures. And so we all have the power to break the cycle of sexual abuse and addiction from taking place in the lives of people who are around us. And so, and not to forget that God is going to use it all.
Amen. Amen. So we're going to close out. I haven't done this already, and I should, but I'm just going to say a short prayer. I have not prayed out since we started this, and I feel like I should. I guess maybe that's what preachers do, right? I don't know.
Come on.
It's going to be short. Lord, we just thank you for this conversation that we've had. Lord, we thank you for my sister, Monique, my friend. I pray that you would send resources her way, that you would send donors her way, that you would send grants her way, that you will open up the doors that she will possibly get this $5,000 sewn into her organization and ministry. We thank you for the lives that she's able to touch. We're thankful for those that she will come in contact soon with, and that she will make a positive impact. And Lord, we ask that you would send volunteers, that you would just hear her heart, and also just allow her the opportunity to get the self-care that she needs to keep the balance of this great work that needs to be done in Charlotte and across our nation. Lord, we just thank you for this conversation. Those who may have been watching and those who will watch, Lord, we pray that we can continue this, and that we can find more of our babies protected, and that their lives will be changed because of this conversation. Lord, we thank you. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. I have another comment here. Yes, this was such a wonderful conversation of knowledge about human trafficking. You did amazing, Monique, and I know you touched a lot of people through this. Definitely, I agree with that. If you don't mind, I'm gonna put you on the spot in front of folk, and I think this is something that we need to bring to other youth leaders and youth pastors, and hopefully some of those who may be watching, and not just youth pastors, young adult pastors, young adult leaders, who need to have a broader conversation. And I hope that possibly you will be willing to, we can make that connection and make that happen.
Absolutely. Please.
All right, Facebook. See y'all next week. Thank you, Monique. Thank you, Rain, for joining us earlier. And I cannot forget about blessing us with the spoken word earlier. Y'all check out Rain and sow into her life and invite her to your next virtual event, all of that good stuff. So thank you all for watching. We'll see you next Friday at 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock. We'll have our very special guest, Mr. Tommy Nixon, CEO of Urban Youth Workers Institute. We'll see y'all next Friday. God bless.